Welcome back to the Muster Point podcast. On this stop, Steve and I dropped into the Red Lion in Cricklade to finally meet one of our regular listeners, the Phantom Bearskin. He lifts the lid on his real identity and shares the harrowing story of being forced out of the military after giving evidence at a court-martial involving abuse of a young recruit. Just a word of warning, this episode includes discussion of suicide. Right, let's dive in. Do you want to introduce yourself, Phantom Bearskin?
Yeah, Mike Fawcett, for those that probably know me, recognise my voice anyway. I know a few of you did because you've been asking me or telling me that that's me. Ex-Grenadier Guards, well, started off in the household cavalry and then fed up of scrubbing horses' cocks and shoveling horse shit. And,
it must have been a big fucking horse.
Well, it was a woolly mammoth they got from it, yeah. But yeah, I decided that wasn't for me. And when I went through basic training, in those days, the household cav and the foot guards did the first 10 weeks together. And my section commander was a fucking nightmare of a man called Daz Chant. He was the RSM that was shot dead in Afghan. There was 3 RMP and the 2 Grenadiers that were shot dead by that rogue Afghan copper.
Yeah, so I was down the road at Shawcat when that happened, I think.
Were you?
Yeah. The Grenadier Guard RSM.
Yeah. And him and a good mate of mine, Matt Telford, sadly was killed in that incident. And a lad that Matt Telford had actually recruited when he was a recruiter. So it was, quite sweet that they were actually, they were together.
That was quite a horrendous incident because I think it was one of the first, because it was the A&A got Afghan National Police, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bloke. And it was the first incident of a policeman going rogue.
Yeah.
And as I said, we were about we were in Shawcat. So it weren't that far away because I'm sure there was, well, obviously there was the fatalities, but there was other casualties because they were strapping blokes to the back of quads and bringing them to Shawcat.
Yeah, a couple of mates of mine. Yeah, a really good lad, Fijian lad called Ben Namarua.
Yeah.
He got shot. And there's a really sad lad that things didn't pan out so well, although he's still with us, a lad called Liam Culverhouse. I think he was shot 6 times. He was featured actually on the documentary they did. And they were on the back of the plane. He lost an eye, but
because that's one of the things that stands out for me. Because I remember, because you went to Shawcat as well, didn't you? And it was a nice size, wasn't it? I mean, you had the helipad, and it was like, well, when I went there, it was quite well formed, and I just remember like this a buzzer go or some sort of siren and an announcement going, all team medics to the med centre. Because when I was there was a reasonably well established med centre. And do you remember that team medics course? It was like a little extra combat sort of.
I think you got an extra morphine and a few more field dressings, didn't you?
And I remember, I wasn't a team medic, and I remember one of the lads in my section. He was an 18-year-old lad, and that. And do you know when the look in his face, it's like real, like you sort of do courses, don't you? And it's like, whatever,
no duff.
And then this is like real, and even at 18, you're classed as a man, but it's still young, isn't it? Like,
yeah, I know young lads that were obviously involved in mopping up the incident or being first on scene at, I've had this thing that, and I went to Iraq and that obviously didn't pan out well because I ended up getting medevac back. But I was desperate to get out. In fact, Daz Chant, the last time I saw him, because he was the one that inspired me to join the Grenadiers. He was a horrible bloke, but he was just a shit-hot soldier. He was a stand-up failure on selection, got all the way through, and they basically not got the right character.
Yeah.
I can, I'd never assassinate a guy's character, but I can understand it. He's such high standard. He didn't have time for anyone that he, didn't come up to his standards. And I think he would probably be quite vocal and obviously working in small teams. But he impressed me. He was that impressive because I should by rights be a Coldstreamer or a jock. But he was my section commander in basic training. He went off. After he failed selection, he ended up as platoon sergeant. I think it was in the Pathfinders. And I thought, I want to be where he is. I want to be, So I cut across to the Grenadiers. That's how I ended up as a Gren. But lads that are involved in that incident, I know, like you say, 18 years old. Yeah. You're on your PlayStation, not long out of training. and then you've got to go and confront that. It's
And the lads who weren't injured are just told, "Come on, we've got to get on with it now.
Yeah.
Get over it, and get you back on patrol the next day."
yeah, that's it. Yeah, as horrible as it is, I mean, you can picture what it would be like in World War One and Two. Yeah, we appreciate half your mates have just been killed, but we've got a job to do. Yeah. We can't stop. We can't. We've got to get on with it. And that's what I'm saying. But for the grace of God, I went to a thing called Grenadier Day, which is every year, and it's generally where the Grens are based. We'll have a big day for all serving and ex-Grenadiers come along. They have like an arena and various shows and stands and stuff like that, and obviously the beer tents. And I was in the Sergeant's mess tent, and I remember saying to him, actually, he was an older shot. "You all right, Mick?" he said in his voice, but fair play, he was behind the bar, popping cans for everyone. And I actually said, I'm trying to get on the next Herrick that the Grens are on, because I joined the TA. That was a little short-lived. I moved to Switzerland anyway, but TA unit up there. And but I actually said, "Oh, have you got guys that have penciled in to go on that Herrick?" So yeah, I'm trying to go on it. And he's actually said, he was like, "Oh, fuck, you don't want to get there, mate. So fucking be careful what you wish for, yeah." And circumstances dictated that I didn't actually end up on it. But do you know what? I'm speaking to some lads and knowing some lads really, really well, and the shit that they live with, it is a case of being careful what you wish for. And I felt a bit of a twat anyway. Pick and choose your tours and get your gong and go and be a battlefield tourist, whatever they call them. I'd have felt like a complete fucking fraud, coming home and disappearing. Plus, regardless what you say about the military, the establishment and the MOD, whatever, you've got a support network there of your friends and the lads, and you're in an environment, a safe, comfortable environment that it's your comfort zone really, innit? I know lads that deployed to Iraq with me, they came out and it was literally fly back, straight out the desert, hand your kit in, out the front gate, and you're a civvy again. And, you somehow got to adapt and live.
Do you adapt? Because that was my experience. And I always say, regardless of being injured or anything, you think, arguably that's the reality for a lot of people. Because for me, it took, 18 months to go from being a civilian to being a fully qualified combat engineer surveyor.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, like, okay, you've earned your cards in a year before, and you're supposed to do resettlement. But certainly from my experience, what I saw, that like maybe if you were lucky, you got released 3 months before your end date to do stuff. But none of that was like reintegration.
Yeah, there's no transition, is there?
How the fuck does that work?
No, exactly. And I think that's why, I know we were talking about a couple of lads down there. I think, there is a stereotype of bod, lads and lasses, that, join the military to get away, like we were saying down there, to actually escape something, shit upbringing, abusive household, whatever.
No job, no prospects.
Yeah, a gang being sucked into gangs, and all that sort of shit. And if they don't do the full sort of 22 and, progress in their career to a position where they're either married or they're going to settle where they got out, or do something that they've been trained to do, the pods that do 5 or 6 years or whatever, they go back to, they go back to that shit, which is probably still unresolved. It's got bad memories, it's a bad environment, doesn't hold it's not a nice place to be. And then burden them with the shit that they've had to deal with on operations, and they're carrying up from that. Yeah. And possibly, they're married or they've got kids. So you're putting them back into that situation when they're probably in a mentally vulnerable state anyway, because they're leaving that safety net.
As much as they think, I want to get out of the army's crap or whatever, they don't have that appreciation. And I always think the MOD or the army or unit or whatever should take more responsibility, and be like, instead of being flippant with it, you're getting out, you're dead to us, have a bit of, have you got a job, is it secure, have you got, where you moving to, have you got mates around you, have you got a missus, a family, what have you been like for the last year of your service? Are you one of those hand grenades that gets away with it in the forces, but in Civvy Street you ain't gonna get away with it?
Fish out of water. It's like like a transition manager, so to speak.
Yeah.
'Cause you've got the resettlement managers that go, oh, I'm going to get you some certificates and a bit of paper and off you fuck. You know, like say the lads that are going out there and it's sort of, you know, the clothes that you stand up in and you'll go in, you'll got to stand on your own 2 feet, and some guys just aren't equipped for that, particularly if, you know, they're dealing with horrible experiences where they don't have BODs looking out for them, they don't have BODs that they feel comfortable opening up to. If they do feel, you know, comfortable opening up, they'll just sit and, you know, in their bed sit, or, you know, depending on what circumstances they're in, sit and stew, excuse the pun, you know, and that's when you get lads that try and find the answer in the bottom of a pint pot or a bottle, because they're used to going out on a smash, sort of 6-7 days a week, getting up, hangover, do your job. Civvies don't work that way, you know. They'll generally be the sado that's in the pub until closing every night. He's the first one in there, and he's looking for mates to drink with, and, you know, they're going, oh, I've got work tomorrow, mate, oh, I've got the kids to blah, blah, blah. And they still, with a squaddie mentality, they need to sort of, it's like a refresh, I suppose. And yeah, have someone to look out for them when they get out. And even if it is a transition manager, just to, like, exactly the things that you said, you know, I'd be absolutely nail on the head. And then just check up on them, like for 3 months, every 3 months for the next year, like a you know, not welfare case, but transition manager, that if they see that someone's possibly gonna slip or isn't going to be well equipped when they go back to Civvy Street, just to keep a check on them and make sure they're all right. If they don't get any responses, you know, 9 times out of 10 they're in comms with other lads that I've either got out that are still in comms with head sheds or whatever, and just say, I'm knocking the door, how's he getting? Have you seen him? You know, because it like you know yourself, once you're on that fireman's pole, mate, it's a fucking hard journey to get back up.
Because you say, Steve, didn't you, that somehow, like, we all get sent our yearly check-in forms, or you're still on the reserve list or whatever, and it's like, why can't they extend that and do like a more of an in-depth check?
My missus said, she goes, like, they send you this, she gets annoyed with me because I actually reply, because it just asks you to confirm if you still live at the same address.
20 quid, mate.
I don't think you get anything no more.
Do you not?
No, I don't think you get anything no more.
But they've got me over a barrel, because if I move house, I need to update for my armed forces compensation scheme stuff, so they're like that.
Yeah, you're still a reserve, aren't you?
Yeah, I believe
I'm
so,
a reserve till next year.
Just in case they need a pirate.
Storeman.
I can only ever get away with that in with fucking military, mate.
But yeah, I'm a reserve till next year. But my missus said, like, they don't care about your medical state. You know,
that's the thing,
should be. Yeah, you should have to go and see a doctor once a year, surely. Make sure, because I wouldn't be able to join the army.
I certainly wouldn't be able to, unless I was a storm.
Why waste the stamp sending me that thing? You know.
Well, this is the thing. When I took that call up for Telekate for Iraq, we went to Chilwell, and it's naughty really, because there's fucking shitloads of you. So they've obviously factored in a margin of BODs that are either unhealthy or fat or too unfit or whatever. They can't get them back up to speed a certain time. I think there is a cut-off, unless you're TA, because you do it alongside TA, but you do slightly different things. But you do them sort of parallel. There's loads of BODs that make arrangements, sort out commitments, even lads that gave up work because they wanted to go back and do it. And then they turn up there, and you get your you know, your hearing checked, eyesight, medical. There's a certain level of fitness, you know, the BMI. If you turn up, you know, with a fag and you're gone with a beer belly, then you can go, probably best not, because you're going to do a fucking 8-mile CFT tomorrow. But there's loads of lads that turn up there, and there was a couple of lads that would turn away for dental. They said, I'm absolutely fine. No, you've got a thing there, blah, 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 it can be liability. And they're, what? I've fucking, you know, I've given up a shitload to come here, turn up on day one, having the medical, and you're fucked off. It's like, well, is there no sort of filtering or screening before? Have you still got teeth? You know, it wouldn't take much. You know, a reference from your doctor, for example. Because there was none of that. I was thinking, well, they're not asking you medical records from your doctor. I might turn up and, you know, I thought, I didn't know you had to stand up 2 legs. You know, it could. I don't get that. But I mean, things have probably changed. This was 2006. You know, still firing muskets.
I find that's the usual thing, isn't it? Like, things must have changed by now. Probably fucking haven't, have they? Like I say,
it's the trauma in your family. You're telling your mum or your family, I'm going to go to Iraq. I'm going to do a medical. They're thinking you're going, and all of a sudden you come out. Oh, they don't want me there because I've got a dodgy tooth or something. So the dentist in the army bloody done.
But it's but you're also mental. I mean, again, I don't want to make it sound like everyone's sort of wet and snowflake and all that sort of shit. But you've geared yourself up mentally. You know, you've prepared yourself, because Afghanistan was Afghanistan. You know, there's nothing going to compete with that. But Iraq, You know, for someone like me, it's bounced tours of Northern Ireland, even though, you know, fucking used to being on fire, pipe bombs and petrol bombs and stuff like that, and some sort of hairy situations, and getting used to the idea in your head that, you know, when you put your boots on in the morning, this might be the last time I tie my boots on. It might be the last time I need 2 boots. But Iraq was cheeky.
Yeah.
You know, there's lads there, and you can tell there's a lot of nervous apprehension. You gear yourself up for that, and all of a sudden, nah, sorry, mate, pick up your bag and fuck off back out. Yeah, it's a bit of a mindfuck, isn't it?
But a 6 month tour is not a 6 month tour, is it? Because you do the build up training to it, and then afterwards as well. You know, you're probably looking at over a year.
Well, that was Well, as
such a big commitment.
As a reg reservist, I got called to Chilwell. I think it was 5th of February, and lads weren't being demobbed until October.
Yeah.
You know, so you go there, you join your unit, you join their prep, their prep training. If they're too far advanced for you to sort of catch up or knit in, they send you over to Senelaga, and you do it's an op tag over there with fucking every swing and dick that's joining their unit again who hasn't been through the training, and then you factor in R&R and all that sort of stuff, but I don't think any of that involved any decompression, which is mad. And if I'd have been in a position, I haven't had the mental health nightmare I've been on for the last 5 years, if I'd have been a bit more susceptible, if I'd have been a bit more vulnerable, if I'd have been in a position that mental state, I'm not sure, I very nearly wasn't here anyway, but I can see why there's such a high suicide rate, because, it's not what people say. I think the lads say is what they don't say.
Yeah.
Don't listen. Don't just think if someone, look out for the ones that are saying, I'm struggling, or I'm fucking in a bad place. So the lads that feel that they can't say it or don't say it, I think you learn a bit more from what people don't say as opposed to what they do say.
Yeah. There's a lot to be learnt from silence. I've learnt that. Because it may be silence on the outside, but what's going through, like, it's not a guarantee, it's not silence in that person's head.
No, you're screaming away. You'll know maybe better than I do, but again, when I was suffering, in the hospital and stuff, mental health crisis, when everyone goes to bed, you sort of sit on your bed or you sort of lie back. You can have a TV, you can have a laptop, you can have music on or anything, but it's like, say to your brain, it's just you and me now, mate. Yeah. Until everyone gets up. And it's.
And how have you found support for that?
I'll be honest with you, I'm really, really lucky, and I class myself as very fortunate that I belong to a unit that has put something really, really solid in place. I want to smoke up the guy's ass, but he deserves it. He deserves an MDE. When I originally got out, I got out because I had to. I was a witness for a court martial that I won't go into, which was quite a brutal case. And I was one of only 2 serving people that gave evidence. I was only the only serving eyewitness. And there was a senior non-commissioned officer who was called to corroborate dates and times and things like that, and various personalities that were involved. And again, it's one of those things where you say, I hope it's changed now. Certain senior members of the regiment, I was sort of pulled aside and spoken to as in, the fuck you doing? You'll fucking ruin your career. And a guy that was my platoon sergeant who he's quite a famous figure and ended up very high up, but ended up leaving on his own cloud, pulled me aside and said, like, what the fuck are you doing? Giving evidence, a statement. So, well, it was the right thing to do, and I've got to live with the decision that I make for the rest of my life. It's someone's son. If he goes and tops himself, because he was medically discharged overnight, and this really, really bad. Within 24 hours, he was gone, because he basically went on a sniper's cutter. And first thing you do, obviously, is an APWT. He was on the firing point. The guy the range staff that dressed up behind him was the perpetrator, shall we say. And he just automatic Beirut unload, and they dived on him, got him in the fire trench, and services no longer required, and fucked off straight out, probably with a little envelope full of money.
Yeah.
But,
instead of dealing with the actual problem and supporting him, get rid of him.
Yeah, and the lad was, I doubt he'll watch this, but yeah, he was quite a junior bod and a bit of what we used to call a bit of a bogey. Well, yeah, he went around asking when he was handing his kit back in, you saw it, and obviously I was there, mate, because it was on operations in Northern Ireland, so it was sort of not a massive thing made of it, so a lot of people in the battalion didn't even know it had happened because we were in company groups. And yeah, I had to think long and hard about what I would do, but I saw him as a human being, and I couldn't be the only one, that were his last chance of getting some form of justice.
Fair play.
Although in the lad's defence that did it at the time, sadly, and again, coming on these things have changed, it's part of the culture.
Yeah.
Do you want our punishment or do you want to go through the door? 99.9% of the time you go, grit your teeth and say, I want yours.
Yeah.
But it was fucking horrific. But yeah, by the by, so I left, I invited serious chats, and my platoon sergeant at the time pulled me aside and goes, what the fuck are you doing? You give evidence, you'll be a complete pariah. He goes, I won't be able to speak to you. Like,
Fucking hell.
and I was called in by the badge and quizzed about it because of the SIB were all over the place, no one was gated. And yeah, the conversation didn't exactly go the way that I thought it might. I won't say guilt trip or anything like that. And I just thought, if all I've got to aspire to is to be like that, listen, I'm not a wet wipe. I'm not a soft. I just thought it didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
It really didn't sit right with me. And I thought, if I've done this, I've got to commit. I've got to back myself.
Yeah.
And my card was marked. I'd have got absolutely fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
In fact, I was offered a transfer out by one of the personalities I was talking to you about. We'll find you a transfer. Just don't speak to the press. But
Fucking hell.
yeah, but
And what year was this again?
this would have been 2000, something like that.
Yeah.
Not 2000,
See-
2001.
See, so that's mad. So the word you used was I heard you saying I do not aspire. And so what, in 2009, I signed off before deploying to Afghan, and I used the words to my OC, with all due respect, sir, I do not aspire to be a senior NCO in this corps. Like, and I was a good soldier, I was a good sapper, do you know what I mean? But I was like, this ain't for me, this ain't.
Well, I was classed as a good soldier, and I'm pretty sure anyone watching this wouldn't disagree. Yeah, I find myself in quite a difficult predicament because, I'm really, really proud of being an ex-guardsman. I've got a tattoo there, particularly the Queen's Company, all this lanky, used to call us the Borg or the Lockers. It wasn't handled very well at the time, I think, because it wasn't a widely known about thing. Yeah. I think certain people had got wind of what was going on and what certain senior regimental personalities, the conversations they were maybe having, had got it. It would have been nipped in the bud. It wouldn't have panned out the way it was. Because I got posted to where the perpetrator was posted externally, which is a bit of a cunt's trick.
Yeah.
But I managed to make myself scarce for pretty much my signing off period. And it was really when the court-martial happened. They expected me, when it was adjourned after the first day, to go back to camp in the same fucking Land Rover.
Fuck you.
I told my lawyer, I said, I'm not prepared to do that. I'd rather walk. I can't do it. Are they serious? And they found me. There was another guy who'd got out, a chap called Ben, who was a witness. We were the only two eyewitnesses that gave evidence. And they put him up in a hotel in Aldershot. And they said, I said, well, can I not stay? Well, 40 quid or whatever. No, we found you a combination with the Welsh Guards. And this is God's honest truth and quite alarming. So I was dropped off at the Welsh Guards guard room, turned up there. Fuck you, like. I'm the Grenadier Guardsman from Court Martial Centre. Apparently you got accommodation. All right, but yeah, come this way into the guard room. Give me a cell for the night. Like, can you not find me a room? Oh, mate, word might get out that you're a grass. I was like,
by the sound of it, the word already has got out.
yeah. So
you know what, the core values, integrity, loyalty.
Well, this is where things have changed. But my welfare, I mean, I can't. Yeah, when I became really poorly, you know, I was intensive care and everything like that. Because I lost 6 friends during lockdown, 4 of them were suicides. And then I ended up there myself 3 days after a guy called Elliot Hennell's funeral, and he killed himself about 30 minutes after me and another chap had spoken to him. And at his funeral, it was like, fuck, you know, when they heard the noise that came out of his mother when they carried his coffin out the back of the house. I was stood next to another chap, and it was like, shit, Ola, it's animalistic. You can't explain it, and it's like, you know, losing a son. You know, you couldn't even begin to imagine. And I just say, you know, if that's not enough to put you off doing something like this, nothing will be. 3 days later, I'm in intensive care for a week at the Great Western. My brother cut me down, and I decided, because I felt so bad about the fact that some of the guys that I'd lost to suicide, I knew their families quite well, and I just thought, you know, they knew me as well, and they respected or loved me or whatever, you know, as their son's friend, or even one case sort of felt like part of the family. And I'd just done that to them. I just ripped those scabs wide open, and every single one of them, you know, after every suicide, it's like, why? I don't understand it. I didn't see it coming. What was going through their head? Did they hate us? Did they do it because did I say something wrong? Did I not say something? Did I not pick up on something? And I thought, you know what? I'm in a really fucking fortunate position. It was like having a hard reset. I was ready to come back out into the world, a bit confused. So I didn't expect to be it, and I was a bit poorly. I had to learn to walk properly again. But I just thought, I'm in a really, really fucking important position there, because I can tell them exactly what goes through your head. And there's another couple of guys that I know that have been danger close, and we've discussed and we speak openly about it pretty much on a daily or a weekly basis. And all that process that you go through before you get there, when you're on the verge of the precipice of doing it, it was consistent. So I knew, even though I can say, you know, this is just my personal experience, but what I thought was going, you know, trying to reassure them, I felt a lot more comfortable, because we'd all been in that through that same process. You know, once you'd come to terms with the fact that you can do it, and they say it's coward's way out, it fucking ain't. You've got that in your back pocket, and it's the most dangerous place to be, when you know that you can do it. All you're waiting for is a trigger then, and you can be fine for days, weeks, months, probably years. But when you get onto that edge, no more. You know you can make it all go away, and you've got the courage to do it, and you just pull that out. And you don't have control over that. You say, oh, that's all right, because I'll pull myself together at the time. When I went, I snapped. It wasn't sort of, I'm really low, it was I lost my temper, and it was like, fuck the world. I just don't want any more of this. And I instantly felt better, because I had power then. I had the power back over, I owned my own mental health. And that's a really, really dangerous place to be when you're rock bottom, because you don't make those same rational decisions. But since then, yeah, I digress. And I'll stop talking in a minute. But I thought, right, I'm going to vlog. And say, right, here I am. And I took myself for a shuffle, because I was doing a lot of walking at the time for charity. And I went around the North Meadow here, and I thought, right, fuck it. I've got nothing to lose. When I did it, there was, you've seen the little one-horse town I live in. It was 9 at night or something like that. And I think there was a fire engine, because I've got 2 spiral staircases. 2 police cars, a paramedic car, an ambulance. Everyone knows there's something going on, and I'm being carried out. My brother had to watch me being resuscitated on my bedroom floor. So I thought, right, I've got nothing to lose. Why should I be ashamed of it? If someone doesn't go, right, fuck being ashamed of it, nothing's going to change. So I thought I'd vlog it. And I was like, right, this is me. I've been a couple of days out of hospital, come to terms with what's going on. What was going through my mind? How the hell did I get to that position? And hoping it'd sort of reach out. I didn't want to say, right, what he was thinking was, because it's not right. I said, you know, this is what I was thinking. There's nothing anyone could have done. Once I'd made up my mind, the facade was there. I could be all things to all people, smile, plan a holiday, you know, look at buying another car next week, be saving for a house, just that snap. And it did, it resonated with people. And I mentioned the court-martial thing, and people that are in senior positions now in the regiment, who used to like and respect me, watch these things. And I got a chap who's a colonel now. I think he's on a retired list, but he still works for the military. I was his bodyguard. I was his human shield for a 6-month tour in Belfast, and I got to know the guy pretty well, and he's a really good man. Him and his wife, he said, we'd like to come and support you, do a walk with you, because I was vlogging it, because I'm old and I've got arthritis in my spine. I've got a tumour right in the base of my spine. I'm knackered. Which is what happened in Iraq. I've got asthma and a thing called bronchiectasis. All my airways are scarred, and I'm fat, old and unfit. Let's face it, I was a proper. I just let myself go. Too much good living. I'll do it tomorrow. Manana, or I'll cut down this, or I'll start doing the right things. And tomorrow never comes. But I thought, fuck it. I'm gonna make myself suffer. I'm gonna push myself through it, because anything that's worth doing, is never easy. And what I found was, because I got involved in a thing called Walk and Talk for Mental Health, which is before I attempted to take my own life. A really fucking amazing guy called Alex Rigby started up with a girl who's a sergeant in the Royal Military Police called Abby Horner, who sadly gone into a combination and found her mate hanging. She did a couple of challenges with us, and I find that when I was vlogging it, I'm Strava and all that palaver, lads would go, I'd love to come down and do a 10-mile leg with you, because I'd done 300 miles in one May. I actually pushed it into 23 days, I think 13 and a half miles after work. I was just loads of laps, and it was like, but I raised about 18 grand in about a year and a half, and did about 3,500 miles. I was fucked, but I lost a lot of weight. But lads would go, mate, I need to catch up, I'd like to support you, come down. And they wanted. They didn't want to support me, they wanted to come and talk to me. And they'd sit and, we'd go and do a sort of a 10-miler or something like that, and then we'd sit for 3 hours, and they'd tell me all the things that they're struggling with, and open up, because I'd done these things. I obviously I was comfortable talking about it. And I helped so many people that way. The money was good, because it went to the Elliot project that the Hennell family set up in Elliot's memory. But I got so much out of that in my recovery. But again, get back to the point. This chap, his name's Guy Dennison Smith. He came with his wife to do a walk with me, and said, are you comfortable talking about the court martial? Yeah, I am. His wife went, knew the signal, and walked off ahead. And he said, I knew something had happened, but I didn't really know why, and I didn't know it affected you that badly. I said, yeah, it affected really, really badly. Probably the tipping point was the way that it was handled at the time. And I wouldn't say kept under wraps, but I was the one that was made to feel like I'd done something wrong, because I was a grass. And rightly or wrongly, if you'd been found not guilty, I'd have still been a grass, But he said, I'd like to, and he said, what must you think of the regiment? I said, I don't see it as a reflection of the regiment. The regiment is 370 something years old. That particular time, small snapshot in time, does not represent an illustrious Guards regiment with, the amount of battle honours and history they've got. I don't look down on the regiment at all. I'm bitter about certain individuals, and I was bitter about the culture at the time that allowed those individuals to get to a certain rank, and for them to allow that culture to permeate and to carry on. But after that, after I gave evidence and did that, all that shit stopped. And I was a senior bod, I was quite a senior in the rifle company as a bod, and I never used to bullying or anything like that at all. There's a lot of young lads I got in contact with us, and when you got posted out and came to Nijmegen company, say all the bullying stopped. And that made me feel really, really good. It made me feel better about giving the evidence. But
the legacy, isn't it?
Yeah, but they said, look, we should be looking after you. We're not trying to make it right. We're not trying to undo it. We're not trying to sort of make excuses for the way it was handled. But a chap who's the Regimental Casualties and Welfare Officer now, the guy I was talking about, an amazing guy, who I know he's probably saved many, many lives. The amount of graft he puts in and the miles he puts in to actually be there and go and be with bods and go for walks, and the amount of physical stuff he does in support of guys. He comes down periodically to see me just to say hello and just make sure I'm okay, got everything I needed. And I'll make a confession in a minute. But he came with an LE officer who was a bit of a pal back in the day, and quite a regimental character. They came down for a walk, just wanted to know all about it, and they said, right, we're going to make sure that you're not standing alone. We're going to make sure that you're not carrying that burden alone. And I just got a massive lot of gratitude to the Grenadier Guards and the way it's happened now. Guy DS, Smith, he's now the chairman, I think they call the chairman of the Grenadier Guards Association, is taken over the helm. And yeah, the support network's in place. I'm sure there is guys that will disagree, who feel that they haven't done the right thing or haven't done enough, and I fully get that. But for me and so many other guys that I know who've needed it, they've been there and they really, really stepped up. And I put a thing on LinkedIn when I was on LinkedIn. He came down to see me at Marlborough College and do a talk to the senior cadets, the sort of lower and upper sixth, about the regimental family, the ethos, the sort of stuff that he does, the sort of the way that they work and the support that they provide. And the lesson was like an interest period for the lower and upper sixth. When they get to the upper sixth, a lot of them are generally going in as commissioned officers to one of the 3 armed forces. And it's basically to try and instill in them that sort of the part of leadership that doesn't really get hammered home about the welfare of your bods, your men and your women, because yeah, you might think you're all right and stuff like that, but if they're not all right, they're not going to do the best job for you. And if you're not an effective leader, you're not looking after their welfare, you know as yourself. If you've got a jack boss, fuck the lads over and stuff like that, doesn't give a shit. You know, it doesn't work as well. You know, the battalion or your regiment or your corps, or your troop, whatever, it doesn't work with cohesion and you know, it is not well motivated. But they're going to, I just want to make that point. I know it's a bit long-winded, but yeah, I've got a lot to thank them for. Yes, there is some sort of culpability to me ending up where I was, but
it's the individuals, isn't it? As you said, how can, because at that time frame, unfortunately, in that incident, there was probably a group of protagonists that were bastards, and that doesn't take away the fact of the history of the regiment. It doesn't take away even the good blokes that served at that time. Like, and if we allow that to happen, then you could probably get that resentment and anger builds. Like, it's the fucking entire regiment's fault. No, it's
absolutely
it's some
the entire
tossers.
army.
Like,
Well, when I put that welfare thing on, because I started off in the lifeguards and I was in the household cav. And there was a lad that I got particularly well with at riding school before I left, who was lifeguards. He was the ride ahead of me. I put a thing on LinkedIn about Matt Elmer, the Regimental Casualties and Welfare Officer, coming down to Marlborough College, and it's really, really good that they're sort of not just looking after the regiment and looking after the lads and lasses, but then taking that step further and trying to say, right, this works for us. It might be a pattern to follow. So let's try and get some of these junior commanders before they're junior commanders and try and sort of sow that seed. And he reached out to me on LinkedIn. He was having a really fucking hard time. He's done quite well since he's left the military, and said, fucking hell mate, I wish I was a Grenadier. So I'm like, he saw some shit, and he said, my regiment, shit, don't give a flying fuck. They put all these senior people in charge of all this welfare stuff to make themselves look good, raise all this money. None of the lads see it. They don't do check up on anyone, cry out for help, and you get nothing in return, or they do a token effort and then make a big noise about it. And he said, Grenadiers just seem to be going about it in their own way quietly and just doing it. And, you know, for the lads that are on, you know, it's left to the lads on the receiving end to actually say, in bravo, they don't start making a noise and look at us. And it seems some other regimental corps do it, you know, make a great deal about very little. To make, we look after our people, but they really don't give a fuck. And the Grenadiers, I'm pleased to say, you know, times have changed. And the lads, you know, I feel bad because I got confronted by one of them at Matt Telford's funeral, the lad that was shot with Daz Chant, one of the 2 lads was Daz Chant, and I knew I was going to bump into him there. And it wasn't cordial, but there was drink on board, and his life had obviously changed as a result. And he pointed a finger at me. I was responsible, and I just put my hands up and went, if you think so, blame me. You know, if it makes you feel better, blame me. He offered me out onto the rugby pitch, and I said, if it makes you feel better, let's go. And he went, nah, and he put his hand out and shook my hand. I don't expect we'll ever be mates, because he was a mate of mine, both the lads that did it, and that's what hurt. I knew that I was sacrificing a lot, and I knew the lads that did it wouldn't have done it had they not been full of piss. And this is another that army culture thing that changed. It was the night before R&R, we'd been stood down, we'd been dry for months, and they decided to have a company smoker. We sort of handed our ammunition in and stuff like that, and everyone was shit-faced. And you can imagine the scores that were getting settled, frustrations being taken out on op tour, You know, you don't have to be flipping dodging bullets and dash down cruel, but people are away from families, they're in close confines, it's stressful, you know, and it would have, in my view, it was a mistake to say, right, here lads, here's unlimited alcohol, get as smashed as you like. It was only going to end one way. There was spods getting filled in left, right and centre. And I don't know what I imagine the engineers and the tankies are very much, you know, teeth arm orientated, where there can be quite brutal environments sometimes. You know, you call a spade a spade. If someone needs a dig, they get a dig. You know, if someone fucks up, the best way to teach them is make sure they don't fuck up again. And in those days, it was taken to extremes. You know, nowadays, it was probably a bit more by the book and there's more carrot and less stick. Yeah. But in those days, it was, right, lads, it's going to be a ball ache filling out all this paperwork and blah, 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 and you're only going to blah, 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 or you can just take him around the back and give him a fucking hiding. He won't do it again. And that's what it was, and that was the culture. And I don't bear any resentment to the lads. I was getting messages years later, anonymous messages, grass this, grass that, fucking turncoat wanker. Even when I was having poison pen letters, fucking cut out Nuts magazine, grass and stuff like that.
Waste of a magazine there.
Pushed under, yeah, I know. Yeah, pushed under the door and stuff like that. You know, I knew I'm gonna have to get out, but I wasn't gonna make them I waited until we were on the next operational tour, and that's when I signed off. I wasn't gonna let them see that they'd push me out. Yeah. But it fucked me up for a long time. It really did fuck me up for a long time. Maybe a sense of injustice. Maybe I felt like something was taken away, was stolen. And I think, you know, fuck.
And you were made the villain for ultimately doing the fucking right thing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I wasn't gonna. We all got sort of confined to our rooms and wondering what the fuck's going on. And then we heard that the military police were in camp, the SIB were in, and certain names were getting called. Certain lads that knew what had happened and had seen what had happened, because I wasn't in the witness. There were two guys that were in the room hiding under duvets. One of them was told to get out or he'd be next, so he legged it, and he's been to see me since. He drove all the way down here from Worksop, from Sheffield, and sat in a Costa with him and said, "You come down for a wedding?" "No, mate, that was a cover story. I just wanted to speak to you." He said, "Because I was there that night and I was the one that was told to get out or I'll be next." He said, "I hid in the shower all night." And I said, "No, I didn't have the balls to give evidence. And I see you took all the shit." He said, "And I hated what happened, but I just didn't have the courage to speak up at the time." He said, "If it happened now, of course I would." He said, "But it turned him to drink. He felt so bad." And he said, "Do you hate me?" I said, "Why would I fucking hate you?" So I was so close to doing that myself. I actually left and they said, "You're like, right, who's next?" And I fucking, Foz, right, Foz, yeah, you're too drunk, all right, don't remember a thing. Righto. So I sat in front of these two guys, and my dad served 23 years in the RMP. You know, so I know the score, and I'm one of the people that's actually got respect for him, regardless of whether they think they're hobby bobbies or fucking whatever, monkeys. I sat there in front of two suits, and I said, "I suppose you're going to tell us you were pissed and don't remember anything." I said, "I haven't said that." And you can see them both go, okay. Thanks for being honest. Not teetotal, are you? But, no, I said, I'm not saying I'm not gay. Can't say that nowadays. But a euphemism. I said, "Do you want to go away and have a think?" I said, "That'll be all right. See if I can recall what I can recall." I said, "Yeah, but can I not go back up there and think?" And they were like, "Ooh." So they called our key man in. Said, "Can you go and have a brew?" Yeah. Went on a brew and I sat there. I thought, fuck, what do I do? I know I'd be the only one. I know it because fucking everyone had been silenced. And I phoned my brother was a cop at the time, and my dad had been out of the RMP for a while, but still had that head. He was Wiltshire Constabulary after. And I was like, fucking what do I do here? What happened was, I don't begin to think for a million years that they intended it to end up as it did. But it was horrific, and there was a human being involved, and my conscience was just going, "You coward, you fucking coward." So, and both of them said exactly the same thing. So, right, it's easy I can wash my hands of you and say, "Well, just do what you think's right." I said, "No, but your life is that long. What you're in now is that big. Whatever happens now, that will influence. You'll have to live with that for the rest of your life. Do you value that lad's life? Fucking clearly, it's someone's son. Even if I didn't particularly have that much respect for him, because he couldn't help himself, hanging out of a Sanger window on a mobile phone with a Stars and Stripes bandana on, that sort of thing, which was probably how he ended up where he was. And said, so well, do what you think is right. I'm not going to tell you what's right. You have to do what's right for you, but you also have to do what's right for that fella. Yeah. And by doing what's right for you isn't going, I'll shut the fuck up then. It's, you've got to live with that for the rest of your life, your conscience. And if the lad does go home, turn to drugs, hang himself, he did turn to drugs in the end. I mean, another lad, who was the other witness, went down to Somerset, Bruton in Somerset, and dragged him out. I brought him up here. Didn't like the guy, but I got him a job and a thing up here, get him off the coke and get him off the drugs because they were preying on him. Yeah. And he was in the shit. And we had a conversation, I think it's safe to say, with the little peddlers on the street peddlers. They're doing him gear in the pubs, racking him up and loads of debt and keeping him on it. And got him up here, but he made his own way in the end. I think he's down in Cornwall. But I wouldn't have been able to live myself had he been fucking no case to answer, fuck off. And he either had to stay in or he left and fucking did something stupid. Because it's not just him, he might have lost the plot with a fucking shotgun or something like that. You just don't know. That was sort of the thing that really started the mental health thing, because I was really, really bitter for years afterwards.
Planted the seed.
Yeah, and I wasn't bitter with the lad that came down. He was a drama merchant. He got booted out himself for alcohol abuse. He went to dry out up in Yorkshire, I think it was a hospital up in military hospital up in Yorkshire, a psyche hospital. Came down. When he came back after a month, whatever, he's like, fucking hell, it's full of, I ain't going up fucking there, fuck that. About half hour later, on a Friday night in Purbright, he's there with a fucking half a bottle of Bacardi in the doorway. Hey, lads, we're getting a taxi on the piss and that. But that's another dit. You know, Christ almighty, how he ended up, getting service in long required. But I'm not even bitter towards him. I'm just bitter that it happened. Really bitter that it happened. I'm not bitter towards the regiment anymore. I was. But
things happen, don't they? People make mistakes, and people need to answer. You know, they've got to accept the consequences at the end of the day. You know, everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah.
And if you've done something horrific like that,
live by the sword.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've done it. You've got to answer it. You might have been a good lad, and it might have just been a bit of bravado that got a bit out of control. It happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Don't make it right, but
no. Well, it's some of the shit I was telling you that I got up to. I wouldn't dream of doing it nowadays. I find it funny.
Yeah.
I still find it funny. Probably funnier that I got away with it.
Yeah. I think, from what I understand, the stuff you told me, the stuff I used to get up to, is completely unacceptable now. I think.
Yeah.
And
but
I'm not sure I agree with that. I think.
The thing is, I'd never do anything that someone else would suffer for. I couldn't do that anyway. I'm too soft. You know, I am a gentle giant. But shenanigans. But if someone deserves a bit of retribution, deserves a bit of retribution. But I'd never do anything that would affect anyone or make anyone's life any more miserable. You know what it's like when you're a junior bod turning up to your unit.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, pranks, and you're the bitch, aren't you? The lads are fucking unhappy anyway. Lads are down. Why make their life even worse by, well, I had it done to me and it didn't do me any harm, really.
Yeah. Look at the state of you.
Yeah.
Well, you could argue the fact that they're passing or doing the same thing shows that it fucked you up.
I think I'm in two minds of that. There's a limit. I think, like, for instance, where I work, apprentices, they get away with murder. They don't get pranks played on not nasty pranks, but get sent to the stores for a long wait and stuff like that.
Oh, no,
To be fair, I think
working from the ground up.
If I'd probably done that to an apprentice, I'd probably get sacked if I told him about the stores and get tartan paint.
Do you know what? I'm old-fashioned enough to agree with you there because if you're at the bottom of the ladder, it's not one of these. Oh, you've got to suffer because everyone suffered. No, you've got to learn every aspect of the job. Yeah, and you've got to do the graft. You get the shit jobs. Someone's got to do them. And do you know what?
That's you,
JB.
One of my bosses, he was probably about 27, 28, and there was a breakdown at my work and got this machine running, and he said to me, what was the problem? When I had a flux capacitor needed changing. He went, okay, text his boss. And everyone was in the smoking area, and everyone was like, oh my God, does he just really believe that? And his boss
Not
went,
old enough to watch Back to the Future.
Yeah, his boss had then sent it to his boss, and none of them knew. And then later on in a meeting in the afternoon, a very senior manager's going, have we got any more flux capacitors in case it goes? And we're just, my God.
Do you know the saddest thing of all? And I'm not just saying it infantry, but there are some junior non-commissioned officers and senior bods that are just thick as shit. Yeah. And sadly, just to get yourself left alone, you have to pretend to be at their level, or pretend that they're funny, or pretend that they're really clever. Yeah. And I can't remember who it was that sent me off. I was at the Maiden Company. I'll go to the cookhouse and ask for a leg of mince. And instead of going, yeah, very funny, you go like that, and off you fuck, you know, walk out the door, give it 5 minutes, come back away, oh, very good, and they go, that's you done. You know, you've got to pretend, you're really funny, Corporal. You know, you've got to pretend to be at their level, and I'm sure the infantry's not the only arm or sort of services that's afflicted with these individuals that, you know, they reach their ceiling quite early. But it's brutal, but it's part of it. It's playing the game, isn't it? It's playing the game. You can take, you know, there is going too far, and there is having a bit of a joke. There was a guy called well, I'm not going to say his name actually. He got moved out of our rifle company. Fucking lunatic, this guy. Everyone know I'm on about sawdust, right? Yeah. We're in Canada. We're in Canada, yeah. It's a play on his surname. He was on and what he had between his ears. We were on R&R in Canada, right? And his platoon sergeant was Daz Chant, who is, you know, the most brutal, disciplinarian, high standards, and brutal sense of humour and brutal punishment. You know, he was as fit as ridiculous. His arse was as wide as that well, but he had lungs like an ox. He was just outrageous. So we were on R&R in Canada. Come to the end of our 5 days, Sawdust decided it'd be a great idea with Daz Chant as his platoon sergeant, who's going to be on the same coast, to go and get highlights put in his hair. So we ended up getting his head shaved. I don't know where they found clippers from, but he comes and walking up the back of the coach, there's Daz Chant. Oh, yeah. And as soon as he walks on, there was just stunned silence. It was like, you really? Genuinely? Yeah, it's a good time, isn't it? You fucking idiot. But he was sent off to see the quartermaster, whose daughters were fit. And he wasn't a quartermaster, was he? He was head quarter company, tech quartermaster or some quartermaster, QM Tech. And his daughters worked at Sandy's and Purbright and were fit. So Sawdust, right, got sent to go and work in our stores before they fucked him off to another company. So he was a storeman. And he used to laugh at everyone going out and doing PT and stuff like that. Knowing it just get filled in, or someone to do. They put his bed space in the bathroom, and so, you know, bed end him and stuff like that. Our Q bloke got wind of it and did the old-fashioned, gave him 2 fire extinguishers in a sealed envelope. Go and see the QM Tech, tell him I sent you, right? Hand him this note, right? And keep your mouth shut. If anyone tries to stop you on the way, tell them to fuck off, don't care who they are, you've sent specifically from me. So off you fly with these 2 fire extinguishers, bang, 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 dabs in, absolute. What do you want, dickhead? Grouchy old LE officer, handed in the sealed envelope, opened up the envelope, and there's a note that said, let us shag your daughters, you old prick, or I'll squirt it to death with these. Yeah.
So just that of interest, bringing it back to you, obviously you've said that you're old, or you're getting older.
52 next week.
You got asthma, you got fucking fucked back like a lot of veterans. But how's the mental health side?
It's good. Yeah, it's good. I was diagnosed, again, it sounds like another violin. I was diagnosed recently with ADHD. And it's something that I knew that I wasn't quite on the same page as everyone else. Well, who does the sort of shit that I used to do. And I started the medicine titration for it about 3 months ago, and that's resolved a lot of issues that I had. Not just because, you know, the lack of concentration, because I left school with a B in English and GCSE, that was the only thing I got. And I've had a fairly sort of successful career. So something wasn't right. I just couldn't do the academic, I could not process things on my paper. It's allowed me, it's slowed all my thoughts down and allowed me to choose what I focus on. Right, ADHD is a weird thing. Everyone's got the symptoms, but it's just the severity and the fact that it's permanent. You get a distraction here and always. We're talking, if there was a distraction, like we were a kid fucking bouncing a ball off a wall, oh, I'm sorry, I'm there. I wouldn't have a choice in the matter.
I'd probably be with you.
It's allowed me to manage my thoughts a lot better, you know, because thoughts become emotions, emotions become actions. It's allowed me it's slowed my brain down and allowed me to think about things in a more rational manner, as opposed to, you know, it's like yourself. You're having a bad day, you know that every other bit of shit's just going to go rah, and jump on and compound it. It allows me to slow all that down and park it. I'm doing all right. I've had a few wobbles. I'm not fixed. I don't think there is such a thing as fixed. You just learn to live with it.
Yeah.
You know, you learn to cope. You know yourself. You guys know as well as I do. You know, I'm not saying anything new, or I'm not certainly not an expert on the subject. But, you know, for those that maybe don't know, you know, you can't undo things. They can't unhappen. You can't turn the light off. You can't put them away for them never to come back again, because they come back when it's most inconvenient, you know, and come back worse. You learn to confront them every day. You learn to live with them, and because you can't move forward, can you? If you've got one foot in the past, or if something's going to keep dragging you in the past, you ain't going to move forward.
Yeah.
So I've learned to do that. I've harnessed it really well. I had a really good psychiatrist, very, very good psychiatrist, and a good medical team, and I stopped therapy because it wasn't the counselling. It worked up to a point. It worked up to the point that we kept going back and revisiting the same stuff. But yeah, I'm in a good place. I'm in a good place. I'm aware enough, presence of mind enough to know when I'm struggling. I've got an action plan. I know what to do.
I think it's that, isn't it? That it's awareness.
Yeah.
The term living with it, almost, I don't know, for me, it's like a bit negative. I'm going to be like this for the rest of my life. But I think what you're alluding to is life gets better, right?
Yes, yeah.
And you've been to the fucking depths of it. And you sat here and you said, yeah, I have bad days, but I manage it.
Yeah.
It's like accepting, because I got diagnosed with ADHD and I'm on the same medication as you. And that's why I said, like, that noise, I'd be there with you.
Yeah.
And prior to the diagnosis, I guess I'd fucking hell, just concentrate on what you're doing, Stuart, and like beat myself up. Whereas now it's like, yeah, that's me, mate. Like, almost like, them two will have to like deal with me looking at the boy bouncing the ball. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just it's accepting that is part of me, and accepting.
Well, it's knowing, isn't it? That it's really, really useful to know that, you know, you're not an idiot, you're not ratty, you're not blah blah blah. It's just who you are. It's what you. It's.
And it doesn't define you.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. I mean, I've not been shy in saying it because, again, I think it's so misunderstood, and it's the same with the mental health thing. I mean, coming in this pub, it used to wind me up, and something that I've vlogged. When you get people to sit there and go, "Oh, I'm lucky, mental health thing doesn't affect me. Oh, I'm lucky. I've got." It's like, mate, you don't have a fucking choice in the matter.
Yeah.
You know, when it hits you, you can be as strong, as fast, as intelligent, as resilient as you are. We've all got the same size brain. Yeah. It works in exactly the same way, and it has a habit of catching you out. You know, like I say, I've had this once with a guy who was a bit of a narcissist, and he had a nickname that matched his personality, and he had to have the best car. He had to, you know, he wasn't shy. You know, if you should brag about it, he wasn't shy about what he had and how successful he was and how wealthy he was. And, you know, if you've been at Tenerife, he's been at 11 Tenerife.
Yeah.
And his wife left him with the kids. So he's got these two boys, and she just fucked off. Imagine what that did to his ego. Yeah. You know, thinking he's God's gift. And he was man enough to actually say, mate, I'm sorry, until it hit me. And he had, you know, it plunged him into his own crisis. He said, I didn't understand what it was. So I didn't have the right. I didn't even know to say whether I could handle it or not. I didn't know what it was. And it's a really, really hard lesson, you know, and it frustrates you. And, oh, I'm all right. Oh, it doesn't affect me. No, I'm all right. You know, I went to war and blah, 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 but I'm lucky. I've got the, you don't get a fucking say in the matter. You know, you've got to respect it. You've got to respect it.
I believe, in some ways, I'm lucky. I say I'm fortunate that I'm a recovering addict, or at the time I was an addict, because it's allowed, I've been in that position to go to rehabs, to do a lot of work on myself, and your normal person doesn't get that opportunity. And I believe if you've been to the bottom, I think I put it on your face, I commented on one of your posts and that, like, the harder you fall, the stronger you rise. Yeah. And that,
it's learning something from every time I've had a crisis. And I had one recently where I need to take a step backwards, because I'm still relearning. It's weird getting back up to speed with work, because the job I do is, I wouldn't say it's any harder or difficult than anyone else's job, but there's a lot, and technical info, there's a lot of info to absorb and to retain, and that info changes all the time, so you've got to keep up. My brain, I lost the capacity to do that when I became really, really ill, because the ADHD, you know yourself, you learn to live with it.
Yeah.
You develop your own coping mechanisms, and your own methods of achieving what you need to achieve that other people just seem to stroll towards. You need to employ little things. I lost the ability to do that, so I was like a fish out of water again at work, in familiar surroundings with people that I knew who were comfortable and stuff like that. But I was, I was shaking because I'll make an idiot of myself. What if I speak up and say the wrong thing in a meeting in front of important people? What if I send an email I've missed something, and everyone's working to something else, and you're still on old information that you've been told?
Yeah.
And I was so scared. And again in 2000, the police came and got me from work. I've been reported by a member of my family and someone else as a vulnerable adult. I didn't see I was struggling. I was fucked, and I'd already decided that I was going to take my own life. The police ended up calling. I've been reported. Are you okay? Yeah. Oh no, just cross wires. No, I'm fine. And no, I'm good. And security asked me to come down to verify my pass or something like that, and I knew something was fishy. The Wiltshire police I'd spoken to, loads of missed calls, and then a load of phone calls from a Ministry of Justice building. So I worked in Ministry of Justice building at the time, even though I was working for the Home Office. And I went down to reception, and the old Bill were there. Oh God! So look, can we do this somewhere a bit more private? Because my job at that time, because I was in a really abusive relationship in private life, was just shot to fuck. Was my only respite, was my only escape, work. And it's really, really weird that I had to rely on that to keep myself pretty much going, pretty much alive. I used to phone people on the way home crying because I was scared to go home, and that's mad, what I was walking into, I just didn't know. But I'm not going to say soft, too caring, because I knew that other person was suffering, and I didn't want to, bite back or say fuck off. Yeah. I just went along with, and I took it. But we went behind reception, and this copper, lovely guy, a couple of coppers, just said, "So then, mate," and pound to a pinch of shit, he's ex-military. He says, "So then, mate, what's been occurring?" And I just burst into tears and cried like I'd never cried before. And I said, so what happens now? I just completely spilled the beans about, I'd already ordered the stuff to take my own life, but my neighbour, Amazon hadn't delivered it. It was a load of gym ropes with the metal eyelets that you loop around beams and stuff to fashion it into a noose. They hadn't delivered it when they said they were going to deliver it.
And you have to classes there, guys.
Cheers. Thank you. And when I was at work, I was in London, and they delivered it to my neighbour, and she worked in IT, and she'd gone off to the States for a week. But they ended up confiscating it. They ended up finding it and or getting it and confiscating it and stuff. And I said, "What happens now then?" And they said, you're going to have to come with us. And what, to the police station? No, we're going to take you to hospital. Have I got a choice in the matter? No. So you're going to get cuffed up. You're in detention for your own safety. You're going to have to detain you under the Mental Health Act. How did I get here? I was very lucky that a colleague already sort of sussed that something was going on. And I picked up the phone and said, "Look, mate, he said, "I've already done it. Where are you?" Came downstairs, and the copper said, "Have you got anyone in London that you know, or anyone can be with you or get here?" So the only two guys that I've got, there's a little three amigos thing we've got on WhatsApp. We all not sort of suffered, all ex-Grenadiers, different generations. And one of them's a copper, there's a colleague of yours in Kensington and Chelsea. He said, "Have you got his number?" I said, "Yeah." And phoned, and the guy obviously said, "What dickhead?" He went, "Haha, no, it's not Mike. It's one of your colleagues." And this guy said, "I thought you'd done it. I thought you'd fucking done it," because we talked about it. We'd talked each other down and given each other strength in the middle of the night and stuff like that. That's what our little group was. And one of them was, the other guy was Elliot Hennell, sadly. And it was on that chat that we were having and keeping him going before he sadly took his own life. But yeah, so I was put in cuffs, taken in a police van, and I said, "Look, is there any way we can do this a bit more subtly? Can I walk ahead of you or behind you?" "No, can do, I'm afraid. We're in Petty France in Westminster. If you jump in front of a bus, mate, it's on our flick." And my colleague said, he's a big guy, Irish guy called Alan, big rugby player. I said, well, what if one of you walk ahead? What if you want behind? I will walk roadside of him, and he ain't getting through me. And they went, okay, we trust you. And I just thought the compassion and that he had. I only knew him as a colleague. And so I ended up St Thomas's Hospital. Gaz blue lighted himself back to his station, had it in his taser, said, boss, I've got to go here for this guy, for this. Go. And he blue lighted himself to St Thomas's Hospital, and he was there about 5 minutes after we got there. Unfortunately, Boris Johnson had been elected leader of Conservatives that day, so it was quite a long route to get through Parliament Square. St Thomas's was the other side of Westminster Bridge. And then about 10 minutes later, Elliot was there, and they stayed with me until about 2 o'clock in the morning. Gaz said, look, I've got to go, mate, I'm on shift tomorrow. And Elliot stayed. And then Gaz, before he started his shift the next morning, bought me a big carrier bag, dressing gown, toothbrush, toothpaste, socks, pants, and Elliot came straight away, came back just to make sure I was okay and be there for me, knowing that I didn't have anyone. And I was scared because I was in a mad place. I just saw the light had come on. I was thinking, I'm in a strong room. They've got a special strong room. You can't hurt yourself. And there's 2 nurses and the security guy 24/7 watching me go for a piss and stuff like that. And, I'd been suited and booted with my laptop bag and everything on the tube, that morning as a sort of anonymous, London, respectable, blah, blah, blah. And I'm in issue tissue hospital pyjamas being treated like a child, having been danger close to taking my own life and confused as to what the fuck I was doing there. But I didn't tell you about that one, did I? But that was the thing. So when the suicides and stuff happened, I thought I'd dealt with that because she left. And Elliot saved my life. I was under the care of a community psychiatric mental health team because I was transferred down here in a secure ambulance, which I didn't even know they had. They got secure division, and I felt like Hannibal Lecter, and they treated me like Hannibal Lecter when I got to Swindon because I'm a big guy and I'm pretty sort of away with the fairies, and I'm getting out of the back of this thing to this lockup ward, and all the patients that were misbehaving, oh, I'm mad, me, look, all them fucking idiots who can't handle life because they do a bit too much of that, and find themselves in a psychiatric hospital because they've overdone it a bit. They all shut the fuck up and bomb burst. And then the nurses said, fucking hell, mate, thanks for that. Because I had some with behavioural problems and confrontations and just hard work, really hard work. And I convinced them that, this has been a massive shock to me and a massive reset. This is the worst place for me to be. I need to come to terms with exactly what's going on and what's happened and how I ended up where I am. I don't need to be in a ward full of people with behavioural problems and severe psychiatric issues, that manifest themselves, banging, crashing, screaming, crying, throwing and stuff. I said, that's not what I need to be. And they concurred, so I was in the care of the intensive care team. And they basically said, look, you've got to get out of the relationship you're in because it's an abusive relationship. And I cried because, what? Abusive relationship, look at me, I'm 6'5", got wars, medals for going to war, rugby player, grr, what do you mean? I'm not a sap. He said, no, get this with all men. You're in an abusive relationship. It doesn't all have to be physical. To drive you to the point that you're going to take your own life purely because of that. Fuck me, So they gave me a 2-hour pep talk, and I went and I printed out the suicide note that I'd written and said, don't give her a chance to respond. Put it in front of her and say, this is what our relationship is doing. If you insist and keep on going, and it wasn't a case of you'll be sad that I've killed myself. It'll be a case of, do you want everyone to know that was you that did this, which is all she cared about, her image and her. So I did that, and I met my brother up the road here, and I had a phone call, and I was shaking like a shitting dog, and I just had loads of messages. Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? And it was Elliot, and yeah, I am. Yeah, I've done it, mate. How are you feeling? I said, I'm shaking like a shitting dog. I'm meeting my brother, and I don't know where I am at the minute. Phone call 5 minutes later. Where are you? Oh, I'm in Cricklade, mate, with my brother. No, where are you? I'm at the club in Cricklade thing. It's like a posh sort of artisan sort of bistro type thing. I knew she'd never go. And he said, right, I need a postcode. Right, he got in a cab in central London there and then after work. Came all the way down there in a cab to make sure I was all right. How do you repay something like that? And then he took his own life and I wasn't able to repay that. And so that's why we do all these things in the Elliot Project. You'll see hashtag the extra mile, because every challenge that I did, or every time I walked 20 miles and I was broken and I was fucked and I was fucking just wanting to call it a day, I'd do one more mile and I'd call it the extra mile, and that was for Elliot. See, when the extra mile for me once, I never got the chance to do it back for him, but that was my little And I told his sister, I phoned his sister once, and I was in bits. I'd done 25 miles or something, and I was on my way back in, and I just wanted to say, look, I'm doing an extra mile for your brother, because I know how gutted you are, what devastated their family. And he saved my life when I divulged to her that he saved my life once upon a time. And I never got a chance to save his, but I'm doing this extra mile. Can you forgive me for not saving him? So, ridiculous. And they adopted the extra mile. And it's good that...
Yeah. Legacy. Full of legacies.
Yeah, I know. Fucking hell, it's a really tuneful conversation, isn't it? But no, thanks for getting that out. But that's part of my mental health thing, and that's what happened when I didn't deal with that, and I shoved it away and thought, right, that's sorted now. But all the damage had been done, and it was racked away.
I'm a big burly rugby player. I've been to war.
Yeah.
I'll just park that there. Fucking don't need to think about that.
Yeah, grr, let's get a pint in, and I thought that was dealt with, but I didn't even visit it. I was like, it's too horrible to think about. And I can imagine lads, who've been and seen and witnessed and had it done, horrific things. Yeah. When they say, oh, you own your own mental health, oh, I'm lucky it doesn't affect me. And that's why I thought at the time, fucking, I was like, I dodged a bullet there, grr, stiff upper lip. And I didn't. And then when lockdown happened and the suicides and the mental health thing kicked off, that just went,
yeah.
It got no choice. Yeah, you can't even say, go away for a minute, right? I'm just dealing with this. It goes, no, tap, tap, tap. Like someone with a spoon, a ladle going dink, dink, dink on your head. And you've got, you don't get the option, you don't get the choice in the matter. I'm not saying, right, sit down tonight and stare at a wall and think about all your horrible things. It's not a case. It's just be aware that they're there.
Fed.
Yeah, be aware that they're there, and be aware what's affecting you, and be aware what's making you suffer without you even knowing it. If you're being ratty with your missus, you're barking at your kids, you're doing silly mistakes at work, you're not sleeping, you're driving to work, getting out of the car and not remembering 1 second of the journey. It's affecting your life, and you don't even might not know it. But don't be afraid to just look in that recess and go, was that you? Don't be afraid to confront it, because you're never going to get through it or get over it without doing that.
I think blokes are getting better at talking to their mates, opening up about it, and even reaching out. But I think we are getting better, but see, not everyone.
Thank you for lads. I can't thank you enough for the podcast that you do, and I've sent to mates clips of your podcast and saying, "Hey, what's that?" And it's flicking lights on, and and I felt to be able to sit and say this, and this is the first time I've met you guys in the flesh.
I'll keep forgetting.
You've known me as the Phantom. You've known me as the Phantom Bearskin, and spinning shit dits and stuff like that. But to be able to sit and talk to two lads the first day they've ever met them, and come out with the stuff.
It's really serious. It's gone really dark. Most of it's really dark. But like our podcast, we love doing it, and we work hard. But people sending stuff in and getting involved. It's what it's all about, isn't it? It's just sharing our stories.
Don't think that this is indicative of all their podcasts, because they're hilarious. And the thing I like about you, like I said down there, it's all stuff about normal pods, normal everyday service life and the ridiculously of it all, and and stuff that you can relate to. Like I say, I listen to podcasts to go to sleep, and it's like when you've listened to Ant Middleton spin the same shit stories over and over again, just the same people doing rotation of podcasts. It's all SAS, ex-SPS, fucking para, marine and stuff, and it's all take nothing away from them. Fuck me, but it's not stuff that you can sit and, like I said, the first podcast I heard from you guys, first listened to, in 10 minutes, fucking pissed myself going, oh my God, oh yeah, that was blah, 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 or oh, that was me when, oh God, there's stuff that you can relate to, and it does, it's got a serious side to it, because you're providing a bit of a hub for the spokes, and that's really important, but you're coming across as blokes that you can talk to. You're talking, you can talk to about all sorts of shit, the funny stuff, but also the fact that you've been there, you've walked the walk, and you're talking the talk. You're not entitled to unless you've done that. And I feel comfortable sitting there and talking to you guys, because I know that you get it.
Yeah, and I'm fucking I can't thank you enough for being so candid and going as deep as you went. I think that I was quite humbled by that.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. But
don't apologise, please.
I'm sure so many people can relate to that.
And I was hooked. I was like, what's next? Fucking
but
brilliant.
Even if it's one person, even if one person goes, and I've had it. I mean, it was 7 people throughout all that period. One guy who's a lunatic, and you know who he is, ex-Grenadier Guards. I was in basic training with, and he got beaten out of our platoon for being a lunatic. Went to the Grenadier Guards, came back from his first operational tour, and they wouldn't let him go on R&R unless he's seen a psychiatrist, just to make sure that he's fucking all right. He left the Grenadier Guards and went to the French Foreign Legion and found a home.
There.
Found a home, but they thought he was mad. So when I came out of the thing, it inspired him to go on a drug and alcohol rehabilitation. He did 3-month drug and rehabilitation, and then other people, it inspired them to go and see the GP. And that's brilliant. And the ADHD thing, when I was talking about the medication, they're talking about the symptoms, and, you know, everyone's got, when you're tired, you're going to get stressed. You're not going to be able to remember things. I was trying to explain to people, go, fuck, I think I've got it. So no, it's the severity of it, and the fact that it absolutely overwhelms you, and it's permanent. It's 24/7. You know, it's not just fucking getting forgetful for a couple of days because you're tired or you're stressed. A really, really good guy who was going to come and visit me on the way down to see his son. I think it's Jonah. It's either Cornwall or Devon. He sent us a message and said, mate, I watched some of your things and they're quite a hard watch sometimes. I get tears in my eyes. He said, but I cried all the way through that last one. He said, because I was listening to myself. And he's been and seen, he's now been referred, which is absolutely amazing, because I keep banging on about this Psychiatry UK thing. It's a service that NHS can use as a private service, because I got kept booting down waiting lists and booted off them. Somehow they thought something had changed. Oh, we don't think it's affected his life well enough or badly enough. And so, well, it affected me badly enough when my psychiatrist and a neuro who specialises in neurodiversity referred me after I'd been screened. What suddenly changed is because you've got a big waiting list and your targets are red, and my GP said, that's bullshit. Actually said, he asked me, phoned me himself and asked me to come up. He said, you've got the letter that they sent? Yeah. Oh, all right, we'll accept you back on the list, but it's going to be 5 or 6 years now. He said, that's bollocks. He said, they're letting you down, we are letting you down. He said, I'm going to refer you to Psychiatry UK. It's a private service we can do. Obviously, we don't want to just flood them, and it's probably going to be expensive. So if someone's in such a position that we need to, we will do. And I keep banging it onto people, but like, if you're waiting, if it's affecting you that badly that your life is on hold or you're suffering, just speak to your GP and say about Psychiatry UK. And he did, and he's been referred. And he just was like, if you hadn't said it, I wouldn't have known it. So this, being candid is one thing, and there will be people absolutely 100% will be going, what fucking melt, or man, I'll grow a pair, but if you don't say this shit, because there'll be people there that will be in the same position who will be frightened to speak up because of those people, who'll be frightened to have these conversations, because of the people that go, oh, fucking man, Joey, they will, and it's really, really bad. Like, the first time after I tried to commit suicide, and it's a man sat down there, I came into the pub, I had the balls to come into the pub, and of course it was like a big white elephant, not me, I like white elephant, but everyone knew what had happened. I walked in, and the first person that said was, oh, here's the fucking nutcase, still taking the happy pills. But I laugh about it.
Here he is, the landlord.
He's the landlord of the pub.
Do you need a generator?
You can sit down there if you want.
No, I'm all right, thank you.
No?
I talk shit for a living. I don't need to put it on the internet.
You are now.
Hi.
But this is the thing, isn't it? Because, like you say, like the feedback we've had off the podcast is the same. Like, you're just two fucking idiots, like chatting shit I can relate to. Like, you ain't special forces, which 99% of us weren't. But the thing is, what else is incredible is like the connections we made, and how this fucker here, the landlord of the Red Lion in Cricklade.
Big PR stunt here right now.
Lives across the road from me.
Great place.
But interestingly, so
I'll send the link in a minute.
Dad's was, so when I convalesced back at my parents in Alton in Staffordshire,
Yeah.
he was the landlord of the pub.
So I was like, I just got well enough to sort of go out on my own. I was still a bit blurry visioned. Obviously, I didn't have my prosthetic eye, and then I remember it was the.
Yeah, you were pretty much shut up actually.
Oh, was
I
it?
remember. Yeah, you were pretty. I was like, all right, aye.
Yeah, literally. It was like I'm there on my own. Don't know anyone from Adam. You weren't busy. He's come over and he like said, like, literally like that. You all right, mate? Oh, like, what's happened to you, sort of thing. And it was like that's what you needed. That.
Yeah. But it was him that because when obviously what happened when it happened, Darren and Char were the first, but that weren't already in there.
Me and your brother.
Yeah, my brother was and he's been through a lot as a result of that, and again, it's something I have to live with. But he saved my life, and I think he'd rather have done that than not being there, not seeing it.
We've changed your spiral staircase to a slide now, so it's easier to get you down.
No, mate, when I was suicidal, just top window, mate. It's quicker. Kill two birds with one stone.
You can't get out of that top window. It's about that big.
2XL now, mate.
You're not. I've seen the footage, mate.
But I said to him, when I came in here, everyone, the first time I come back in here, everyone known what happened, and it was like, I didn't want it to be taboo.
Yeah.
I didn't want anyone wrapping me up in cotton wool and going, there, okay, Mike, sit down, pat on the head. I was like, no, this is fucking serious shit, and I'm still a man.
Yeah.
I'm a geezer. It doesn't make me a weak. It doesn't make me fucking, simple. I'm still the same bloke that I always was. Yeah,
You still with that fence panel.
and it's a harsh lesson. That was when the trigger. It was, and I
He
put the
fucking
fish,
flipped and put his fist through my fence down there.
and it's quite a thick fence as well, isn't it?
Well, it is now. So really
So, no, but that shows you. I mean, no one in the right mind would do that.
Yeah.
And then, but the first time I walked back in here, dickhead here goes, "Oh well, here comes the nutcase, still taking the happy pills," and you can see people going. Dart stops in midair, pool ball stops rolling. But I was like, "Fucking dickhead,"
Welcome back.
Yeah, you got it because it's.
don't beat around the bush. Look,
No.
we all are what we are.
Well, it's BAU, isn't it? You've got to get on with life. You can't. I'm not going to go. Although that might, some people might be susceptible by that. But Darren knows me; he's a friend, and knew that it was the sort of friend. he knew that, I wouldn't say he's the same squaddie banter, but the same sort of thing.
Well, by the sounds of it, he is a bit of a legend because like. He was my support mechanism up there for that period of time, and he sounds like he has been to you.
Well, he looks like Bluto from Popeye, don't I? So that's the first legend.
Who?
I was thinking, have you seen King Gary?
Who?
King
Gary.
Oh, we've had that before.
But
I'm thick skinned though,
but it's funny now.
obviously.
You live opposite him, the pub that he now owns.
Yeah.
And it's like, it come up on Facebook. It's like, how the fuck? What the fuck? Like we're going down there.
And then Charlie Brooks.
And Charlie Brooks as well.
And you've stayed in Cricklade before when you got married.
Small world.
It is a very, very small world.
Fucking
Small
mad.
world.
Beautiful place.
It fucking is, man.
I've never even heard of it before, but yeah, beautiful.
Well, do you know what? Spare room, ensuite, it's always made up.
If you ever want to
Wanna
get
come
away
down
from the
and go.
missus.
Yeah, definitely.
Or 5 letting rooms, which I'll do. Which you can find, guys, on Airbnb, TripAdvisor, blah, blah,
What was
blah.
that, 50%?
It's been brilliant talking to you.
Yeah, I say I've
And I would
These
just
batteries are nearly dead, so you haven't got long
wrap
now.
this up. Yeah,
just,
sorry, yeah.
obviously,
Imagine.
just get yourself down here because the fucking roast dinner was amazing.
It was,
today,
yeah,
wasn't
it was good.
Do you know what? In his defence, he's a good chef.
He is,
An amazing chef. Well, look at him.
He's got a good
Yeah, I
haircut.
know, yeah.
He's got a really nice haircut as well.
Yeah.
But
He'd be a shit drug dealer because he enjoys all his own products.
But yeah, thank you very much, mate.
And yeah, thank you, guys. And reach out to these guys if you need to. They've been out and seen, they've done, they understand. And if anyone out there needs to, in emergency, break glass and speak to me, as you can see, I'll be absolutely candid and I'll listen. I haven't got all the answers. Sometimes I don't even know what the question is. But I get it and I understand. And as you can see, I'm prepared to talk about it and I'm prepared to listen. I'll just listen. I won't judge you. I won't try to provide solutions. Sometimes you just need someone who gets it to just go,
Yeah, that's it.
he's not going to judge you.
brilliant.
But thank you very much.
Thanks. I've got one more thing.
Go for it.
Show us your war cry.
To the camera.
A war cry. I'm going to show you with Willie instead. It's less embarrassing.
Nah, brilliant. Really
Nah,
appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.
So we finally found out who the Phantom Bearskin was.
Well, I knew all along.
Well, yeah, so did I, yeah. And I think a lot of his friends did, but
he's got a unique voice, and he's
Yeah.
a top bloke.
he's a top bloke, and he's. It goes back to that thing of taking responsibility when the chips are down and you're on rock bottom, and there's support out there, but actually doing something about it yourself.
Yeah. He's an inspirational bloke, to be fair. I've known him 5 months, something like that, and we've been talking. What a lovely bloke, top bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you reckon to Darren? Well, it's a mad coincidence that because obviously it was a shock when I knew that they knew each other, but then to hear Mike say,
So when you got blown up, you went and stayed at your mum's house for however long while you was recovering, and the landlord did the local pub. You got friends.
Well, he was the chef. He weren't a lad.
You become friends, drinking buddies, and then sort of drifted apart as you do. And then all of a sudden, the Phantom Bearskin.
Well, I think I'd commented on his Facebook, and then Darren's gone, "What? How do you two know each other?" But to hear that he had that same response with Mike, obviously, after what happened with Mike, and it's that. For me, it was that. Not like I don't give a shit, because he does give a shit, but it's in like, do you know what I mean? You're still you. Yeah. It doesn't matter. And I'm not having the self-pity and all this. It's like, come on, let's crack on.
Yeah, I felt like Darren had a bit of a squaddie's personality.
Yeah.
The dry sense of humour, really nice bloke. Looked after us, made me feel welcome, and he looks like King Gary. If you might see King Gary.
King Gary. And what do you reckon to your roast dinner?
Very nice.
Yeah.
It was nice. That's up there with one of the best ones after me mum's.
Oh, of course. What about your missus?
I don't think she ever cooked them. But if she did, they'd be the best, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the Phantom Bearskin reveal. We're going to go on a little bit of a break now, haven't we, Steve?
We've had a good 6 months, haven't we? It's been hectic.
It's been longer than that. It's like 8.
Yeah.
Well, it's 7, 8.
Yeah, I don't even know what day it is after time. But it's been busy. I'm sure we'll still put some bits and pieces out. We'll still be doing our usual Muster Point Breakfast Club pub.
We're going to concentrate. Well, we've got the celebration and remembrance ball coming up.
We're going to the Intelligence Corps Museum with our group in the next couple of weeks. We're going to do a few things like that. We've got possibly a shooting day out.
Skill at arms.
Shooting club. That should be funny.
But don't fret, because we're not going away permanently. We're just having a little break, a reset.
Yeah, reorg.
And we're going to probably, well, by the time it happens, it's probably going to be the new year where we'll come back bigger, stronger, maybe with a bit of a revamp.
Yeah, I think I spoke to Mick, the Bearskin. I spoke to Bottle, I mentioned it to him. And, it'd be nice to still get him involved, maybe a bit more. I don't know, maybe have guests every week, different people.
I just think it needs planning a bit more, doesn't it? Because what we'll look at doing.
We tended to get ahead of ourselves, and then you fall behind, and then you change. It's hard.
Yeah.
One day that's not our job.
Yeah, exactly.
When we was at the festival, people were saying, "So, is this your living?"
Yeah, I know. Yeah, nah. It was funny though. The military wife choir said, "Oh, so what do you do for a job? Or is this your job?" I was like, "No, I work with drugs."
However, I do consider this a job, though. It is a job.
Yeah,
I don't get paid for it. It's a hobby, but we treat it as a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Professional. So I'm not very professional at work anyway, but we treat it as professional as we can, and
So for the time being, that is the Muster Point podcast over and out.
But still send stuff in. It's good to have stuff in the bank. And we're going to always share it with whoever. It's always good to keep in contact. All the people that normally keep in contact, please keep.
Yeah. Well, they'll keep in contact anyway, won't they? We ain't getting rid of them.
Yeah, we've got some. We've got Sleechy.
Oh yeah, Sleechy.
Bearskin. We've got Bottle. Anyway.
Tom Wellard.
We've got Mo. Bobby Moore. I've never met these people, but they send stuff in. I'm sure there's loads of other people. I can't think.
Mick Knowles.
Yeah, the T-Rex. Yeah.
We had in the early days we had Stan Stanley up in Geordie Land.
Ben the Sailor. Hopefully he's getting on all right at his job.
Diggy Dog.
Yeah, Diggy Dog. But all the people who've been sending stuff in, thank you very much. Everyone's really enjoyed it. The feedback we get from everyone is just so positive. Everyone enjoys it. So
So until then, see you later.
Fall out.